Oh, hello, everyone. This is Stephanie Boozer with CUGC HQ. Welcome to today's Connect webinar with ControlUp. We're going to talk about their new Scoutbees product and how it can keep your EUC environment running smoothly. But speaking of things running smoothly, I did run a quick poll while you guys were out in the waiting area. So a couple weeks ago, we had a webinar and we asked the audience, how many of you are still working from home? How many of you are back in the office? How many of you are kind of doing a hybrid? And at that time, it was about 85, 80%, somewhere in there, of you guys were still working at home. So that's a big number. So then we thought maybe we'd find out like how you guys are doing working from home and getting your setup ready. So I'm going to share these results really quickly just so you know. So it looks like most of you are doing pretty good. You finally have most of what you need. Some of you are still MacGyvering it up maybe a little bit. And sadly, there's 4% of you say it's a day-to-day struggle. I'm so sorry. And then there's a few of you that say work from home, what? Going to the office. So interesting. So I'm glad that most of you are doing well. All right, so before we get into our main presentation today, just have a couple of things for you. Our calendar is full yet again, which is great. We've got a lot of virtual events coming up. We've got 2 Excel events, actually more than that, but the next 2 are the Midwest and the UK groups Excel. So definitely check out those. Those are our mostly day-long events. They're free. We've got lots of great presenters, lots of networking opportunities, great sponsor booths, lots of stuff for you guys to do, and also obviously awesome prizes. So check those out. And then our local group meetings are still going strong. So, so you'll see on the calendar there, we've got several groups that will band together. So next week we've got Calgary and then 2 big combined meetings, like one in the Carolinas and one in Texas. So if you're in that area, check it out. And if you're not in that area, maybe even check it out because, you know, it might be fun to see what the other groups are doing. All right, also want to just make sure you know that if you've missed a webinar, because we do have a lot of them in our webinar library, you can always go to our homepage and click on the Files menu and click on Webinar Recordings, and that will take you to lots of webinars. We have all the way back to 2015. We've got the full library of webinars, and you can watch them on demand anytime. You can download them. They're there for you, just for you. They're for CUGC members only, so it's definitely a perk for you guys. All right, so before we get started, just a reminder, as I mentioned, there's the webinar recording library. So we are recording today's presentation and you will get a link to this recording in email tomorrow. It's gonna come directly from GoToWebinar, so be on the lookout for that. Also, we'd like you to submit your questions at any time. We'll get to as many of those questions as we can today. We definitely try hard to get to all your questions. And finally, before we go, I will put a link in the chat to a short survey for you. It's anonymous and it's for CUGC use only. We'd just like to get your feedback. All right, so keeping an eye on all of your awesome questions that you're going to ask today is Arnaud Pan. He's a CTP. He is one of our Tampa CUGC leaders. Arnaud, would you like to say hello?
Hi, hello everyone.
Thank you. So Arnaud's going to keep an eye on your questions. He's going to ask them as they make sense, and some he may save for the end, but definitely type those in as you have them so you don't forget them. And finally, our 2 presenters that we have today, Trentent, he's a technical specialist and a Citrix CTP, and Shay, Gadidi, he's a product manager, both, oh, I have Citrix CTP next to your name. Sorry, Shay, I needed to edit that slide a little better. I guess you're honorary today.
Yeah, I got Citrix.
Well, welcome to the webinar stage, and I'm going to hand things over to you guys right now. Let's see. Here you go, Trent. I will give you the screen right now.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, so I guess, you know, super interesting numbers on who's working from home. I think there was 8 people still going into the office, so this presentation will be very relevant to you as we go over working from home and what we can do to keep your environment running smoothly. So to start, just going to talk about ControlUp a little bit for anyone who maybe doesn't know who we are. ControlUp, we're essentially a monitoring and management platform. We have offices in the US, Europe, and Israel. We have over 1,000 plus customers and growing, you know, every day, month, quarter, just getting more and more and more. Obviously, we support Citrix, VMware, Nutanix, Microsoft. We're, you know, all with all the big players. So we play well with everybody, and we're here for the Citrix webinar today for the CUGC. So just give you an idea for like what we can do and what we can accomplish. So we do with our Scoutbees, we can do synthetic logons, we do availability testing, we've got automation, we've got you know, community experts who are constantly supplying us with script actions that extend the capabilities of our product. ControlUp can do remediation, troubleshooting, root cause analysis, sizing recommendations with our Insights product, and trending and forecasting and dashboards and reporting with our products. And one of the new ones is Scoutbees here, which we'll go over in just a second. And this is essentially our ControlUp architecture for our real-time console, and what Shay will be showing you with Solve, kind of how it works as well. But it follows the same architecture, except you can just you can see Solve in the upper right corner there. So with all this complexity, with all these features, you can see what we can do through an agent or API-based monitoring. We cover all of this complexity in some very simple applications, either the portable console application that you can just double click and run anywhere, or the Solve application, which Shay will be showing you, which you can just run from any web browser. So I'm just gonna hop on and get to what we're all here for, which is the demos, which we will do live. So hopefully this will work out. So the first demo I'm gonna do is Scoutbees. And if I can exit full screen. All right. So Scoutbees is a SaaS-based application that we are offering, and this does application and desktop or resource monitoring. And so what it does is it goes through and it connects into your environment, and it will launch your application and tell you whether it's available or not. So what I've got here is I've got our Scoutbees. I've got some scouts already created. We can see QA Desktop, IA Prod, and VM1. So these are the different scouts and the different resources that we're monitoring. We can see we've got like alerts disabled on this one. We've got no alert policy here, and this one has an alert policy configured. We can edit, delete, disable our alert policies. We can see how long it took to enumerate these resources overall for the last 24 hours. And we can see here for QA Desktop 1, you know, I had some failures throughout the morning, it looks like, and then we got some successes thereafter. So we're seeing all of this information within ControlUp Scoutbees. And if I click on the resource, if I click on the Scout, it gives me the list view of everything that had happened over time. And so we can see all the successes over the last 12 hours. If I click on the images here, it will actually show me what it looked like when it connected to that resource. So you actually get a real screenshot showing you the state of that resource when the connection was attempted. And so you can go through and compare to make sure that the resource was launched correctly. So if I go ahead and like click on this resource, we can see we get some other additional information here. We can actually see the Hive that we attempted to connect to. So this is an external Hive, so it's running from a cloud service in North Virginia. It's connecting into our netscaler.controlup.com, and it was launching this resource. We can see how long authentication took, enumeration, the ICA file download, connecting to the session, the initializing of the session, and then when the session became ready, when we were able to get that screenshot at the end of this whole process. So this is utilizing our an external based one. So if you've got a NetScaler, or sorry, not a NetScaler, Citrix ADC appliance, then you're actually able to use our external Hives to connect through there. And we do support some levels of two-factor authentication as well. So we can actually be testing those to make sure they're operational. But if I go back to my home here and check one of my other resources, so I think it's VM1. What we have here is we actually have a custom Hive, and what a custom Hive is it runs on premises. So it doesn't need to be a resource test on an external cloud. You could be certainly testing inside your own environment. And so we can see the same thing here. So all the same metrics and stuff, and this one's actually connecting into another one. Let me check this guy. So one of the things that you get when you get the internal ones is we can actually query for additional information. So not only do we get the screenshot showing you what the resource looked like when it launched, we can also see some additional metrics that we queried for the on-premises custom Hives that Scoutbees offers. So obviously the server, network latency, the logon duration, who brokered the connection, and your ICA RTT, and then all your additional CVET information that we pull automatically. So we think that's pretty good. That's additional information that can help you troubleshoot. So what does it look like when things break? Because inevitably we're showing you this. This looks great. Well, when things break, we have this little visualizer here that can actually show you when things had failed. And we can actually adjust the scale. So I'm just looking at the last 24 hours here, but if I were to change my date range to be like in the last month and hit apply, it's going to update my views and show me when all of my failures started to happen. So this nice color coding bar here can actually show me that we started to have some failures right around this time period of the month. Red is when it definitely failed. So as opposed to a 40% success rate, we just had a consistent failure streak. And one of the more interesting things we can see with Scoutbees is that our duration to actually enumerate our resources went up. So now we can correlate that data with our ControlUp Insights product or some other monitoring, historical monitoring that you might have that will actually give you that information, give you that time frame to actually explore what occurred during this time. So obviously we had some problems. We had an issue kind of popped up. Obviously it was resolved, and then we were good for a long stretch of time. So I think that's pretty cool, and that's a pretty interesting piece of information. So this is what the scouts look like. So if you wanted to create a scout, we got this little button here in the upper right corner. If I go ahead and click create, we can see that we get the two different types of scouts. So we can do the Cloud Hive, which is hosted by us in a cloud service. And we do have 3 different locations you can do your resource testing from. So we can do North Virginia in the US, Frankfurt in the EU, or Sydney for the Asia region. Or you can choose to do the custom Hive, where here, if you created the Hive, it's connected into Scoutbees here, and it'll actually tell you if it's active or not. Or you can download the custom Hive and install it on your on-premises environment. So I'm just going to go through and just walk through creating our Cloud Hive, and you can see we support all the major resource authentication and enumeration points. So obviously we can do the Citrix ADC, we can do Citrix Cloud Gateway, and when we click on this, you can see all the information that you just need to enter. So if I choose this guy, I'm just going to choose our environment. All right, and I'm just going to choose my user here and enter my password. Okay, and we don't have two-factor authentication for this guy. And if I click on Get Resources, it's going to query the Citrix ADC and start pulling out the resources that this user has access to. So we generally recommend you use a service account for your individual resources, but the architecture would be up to you and your environment. Assuming I put in the credentials correctly. Okay, but then once you choose your resources, you choose the runtime. So you can choose to query every 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and 60 minutes. And this value you just choose, and then you can just name the scout, and then you hit next for the alert policy, which if I go back out, the alert policy is what we see when we click on the 3 dots. So just to give you an idea of that architecture again, so this is what is capable with Scoutbees. So we can do the on-premises Hive, where you can be testing your local resources, or we could even be doing the external Hives where you're testing your resources as if your user was at home, which apparently a lot of us are actually going through right now. So this is what the alert policy would look like. So if I edit this guy, you can choose, oh, there we go. We can choose, yes. All right, 1 second. Let's try that again. Probably because they're disabled. All right, let me do that again. So we're going to go through, we'll create the scout, choose the Hive. We'll choose North Virginia again, choose our resource. The joys of doing live demos. Yeah, once you get your resource, you choose it from the drop-down list here. So I'm going to choose Chrome. That's choose running every 5 minutes, and I will call it the Chrome tester. And here we choose our alert policy. So this is one of the more advanced features within Scoutbees, is we can actually choose, you know, an if-then conditional status for you to get alerts. So if we choose if status is equal to failed, and you can see we've got lots of different properties you can choose from. So we can choose if fail reason is equal to, and you choose the fail state, if the connecting duration is equal to however long it took. But if we stick to the default, if status is equal to failed, if we want to add another condition or and, if we want to say, you know, 1 might just be a blip, so we want to test it like 3 times in a row, it needs to fail, we can choose these different notification methods. So we can choose to get an email. So if I specify like my email address, I will then get an email notification. I can webhook in. So if you want to get a notification through Slack or Teams or one of those services, you can just do it through this webhook based notification, or you can even choose to do it through ServiceNow, through our ServiceNow integration within Scoutbees. So just enter your name, client ID, the ServiceNow URL, and your authentication URL, and we will automatically send you a ServiceNow ticket when these failures occur. So that's Scoutbees. We're very excited about it, especially if you're working from home and you want to make sure you're able to connect to your desktop, or your users are able to connect to their resources. It's really important that you have those available, and you can get Scoutbees. Sign up for a free trial on scoutbees.io and give it a test for free. So next, I'm going to get into an exciting thing that I think a lot of people have been asking for from ControlUp, is we are going to introduce our Citrix Cloud integration with version 8.2 of the ControlUp console, which I believe is coming out in October. And Shay, you might be able to correct me there, but I believe it'll be coming out just next month. So this is a new EUC environment with Citrix Cloud specific metrics, and we have the ability to obviously do all the same things within ControlUp that we could do before. So what I am in now is I'm in the ControlUp console, and we can see the EUC environments is here. If I right click on this object, I can choose to add the EUC environment, and we have a new drop down now. We have Citrix Cloud, and from here you would just enter your credentials in order to connect into it, which I will just kind of walk through this. If we connect into the Citrix Cloud, we get our access key and our secret key. You enter the friendly name, and we will automatically connect in and pull information from Citrix Cloud. So we think this is pretty exciting. So let's just take a quick look as to what it is. So this is our new EUC environment that I would pull from Citrix Cloud. And if I expand it out, you can see all of our different delivery groups that we have available, our cloud connectors available. So if I want see what resources are available, I can right-click on my delivery groups and focus on them. And from here, I can click on machines, and we can see all the machines that are detected within our delivery groups. So we can see, you know, we've got like Windows 10 Enterprise for virtual desktop. So if you're running this on Azure and you have access to that operating system, for sure we can actually connect in and identify it properly, and we can get all the stats from that. So these are all the stats that you can see from the Citrix Cloud environment. So you can see whether it's in maintenance mode, whether it's registered, what the reason for it is, whether it's power managed. If you're Citrix clouding into like your on-premises resources, or if you're going into the cloud resources, they might be unmanaged. You can see the delivery group that it's based out of, the machine catalog, all of those pretty cool and interesting metrics. So if I focus back on here, and if I go back to our folders view here, what I can see is when I drill into it, I get our Citrix cloud specific metrics. And so same thing, last registration, whether or not it's a shared desktop or just a multi-user desktop, or whether it's a single user desktop. And one of the cool features about having the ControlUp integration into Citrix Cloud is that now we can actually right-click on these resources and actually manage them. So if I'm right-clicking on this delivery group, I can actually disable it. I can set it into maintenance mode, and then the reverse would be true as well. All of that can be done without having to actually enter into the Citrix Cloud console. So this could be a much faster way of managing your resources if you were doing like an application upgrade or an image upgrade or something like that. As well, we have our script-based action engine, or script actions engine, which allows us to extend the product in almost an infinite number of ways. And some of our guys have already started to create scripts for Citrix Cloud, where if I choose to like right-click on this, I can see that we've got two different script actions that have already been created. One to send a notification to your Citrix Cloud. So if you're logged in there, you'll get a little pop-up in your upper right. And another to do like show the administrators of that delivery group. So if I click on this guy and hit OK, we will actually see a list of administrators pop up. So these are all the administrators that can manage our Citrix Cloud resources. So just a simple right click and boom, you have access to all of this information and all of that power. So we think that's pretty killer. When it comes to the cloud connectors, the information that we can gather from them, if I double click into them, we can see we've got our different cloud connectors. If you install the agent on them, we can actually pull performance metrics, so you know whether it's got enough CPU, enough memory, and so on and so forth. You can see the cloud connector status. So is it connected? Absolutely. For this one, we have, looks like a problem. You can see whether the version is correct. So updated is good, and or outdated is, you know, might need to go in maintenance mode, or it's going to go through that Citrix refresh cycle that they have for the cloud connectors where they get the new version. We're also pulling the version number, so you can actually see immediately that whether something is the right version or not. And if you enable our grouping feature, you can actually drag this up into it, and it'll give you an immediate look as to what items are updated and what items are not. So here we can see our Citrix Cloud Connector. We've got 1 item on the old version and 10 on the new. So we know we're in pretty good shape for most of our environment, except this one, which someone probably needs to then, now that it's been identified as having a health issue, we can go in and rectify that. So we think that's pretty great. So this is what we can offer with Citrix Cloud now, and we're very excited to offer this once 8.2 is released. So I'm just going to hop back to my slides here. And so now I'm excited to share our next product that is going to be coming out, I believe in Q4 of this year, and it's actually available for existing ControlUp customers to beta today. If you reach out to your CSM or your sales executive, you can get access to Solve. And to go over Solve, I am going to pass it over to you, Shay.
Great.
Okay.
Okay. Hi guys. So Shay here from the product team, and I would like to show you guys our new upcoming very cool product, which we are very excited to present today. So we're talking about Solve. Solve is actually a web-based console that should show you guys the real-time information and help you with the troubleshooting. It's a more modern way to troubleshoot and access the same real-time information we have through a web-based browser. So we only need to use the Chrome tab for monitoring the environment. I will show it in a few seconds. Solve it's based on a REST API, which is actually running an API queries against our monitors and getting the real-time data for presenting. And in Solve, in addition, we have an ability to support multi-tenancy environments, which means we do not anymore need to have single console connects all the objects and all the agents. So now we have the monitors inside the different tenants, and Solve collects the information from the monitors across all the tenants. And that way we don't need to connect directly to each ControlUp agent in the environments. In Solve, we have real-time dashboards with real-time widgets. The widget is actually a graphical representation of the metrics we have today. So everything you know from ControlUp about the performance and the data from the monitored data sources, we present here in real time in a graphical representation with stress indication and other benchmarks that helps you guys to understand whether or not your environment is a healthy situation or not. The widgets themselves have a drill down into the navigations view. We have a dynamic topology introduced in Solve. The dynamic topology is helps you understand the environment, shows you all the connections of the different components you monitor through ControlUp. So if you monitor the NetScaler or the Zen desktop infrastructure, the virtual infrastructure as well, all of it is going to be presented in the navigation in the topology, and then you can navigate between different objects. We have the real-time grids, of course, which is our most favorite part from the console. Just much more modern look and feel, and lots of cool features like saving personal settings for each users for a specific view or drill down. And we kept our tree, as always. The tree is the logical structure of the objects in ControlUp, and we're using the same structure in Solve. So let's move to the demo and show you guys. So here I'm starting from the real-time dashboard. So what actually is happening here, it's Solve is running real-time queries against our monitors every 5 to 7 seconds and displays all the data in a real-time resolutions. And the thing here was a tremendous engineering effort in order to keep the same resolution of data we have in the console, on the on-prem console today, and bringing it to the cloud, to a SaaS application, and basing on the same components. So the only requirement you have from your environment is the monitors you already have installed and configured in your environment. The monitor should be connected to the data sources, and then the data is going to be displayed in Solve. No more components should be installed in your side. Everything is here on the ControlUp cloud side. And this was a really big effort pushing down the real-time resolution for Solve, because as you guys understand, this engine stands outside of the organization and needs to query the cluster every time. All the widgets here have a drill down navigation. So if I click a specific widget, I go to the relevant view. I clicked on the session stress level and I get into the sessions view. Here I can have a different categories of the sessions as well as with the machines. I have the same one here. So I can choose which type of my machines I want to focus on when troubleshooting or understanding. So if I go to the high level view, I see all my machines with the real-time information as we know. And here you can use the same functionalities, choose which columns you would like to see, searching a specific object, and getting a nice widget list for each view. So the widgets are specific for this machines view, I have a different widgets for the virtual machines view. And we have for each view of these tabs in the topology, we have a different and dedicated widget list, which is attached and configured for the same use case of understanding these objects. Now I'll show you guys a small navigation through the topology, how it's helpful. So if I would drill down to a specific E6i host, for example, now I can focus on the objects within this E6i host only. So I can see all the machines of the E6i host, and within the topology, it helps me to understand the relations of the objects and where do I move and change my focus to the machines. Now I can see the machines. I can do the same drill down investigations to understand the bottlenecks or the issues in my environment. I can go to the data stores as well for this particular E6i host. So within the real-time views, we have here, we call this the navigation view. We have we kept the contextual navigations engine, which we have in the console today, which is used by the virtual expert. The contextual navigation recommendation exists here, and you will see the same recommendations now you used to from the console, which is actually drives you to the right place when investigating an issue. And when I click the particular column when investigating, the view indicates why I'm investigating something at the moment. So, for example, if I go for the CPU here for this machine, the investigation is done for the CPU, and Solve will bring up to the front the most relevant columns for the CPU investigation, which is this column group. It helps me understand the CPU issues for this object. And again, if I look on the topology, I have the same, all the components I know from the console side and from the different monitor components. Now I want to show you guys the tree that I promised we kept. The tree is here on the left side, and the tree will help me to focus on a specific folder for the different objects I monitor here. So whatever element I chose here, I can choose the folder, and then the focus of the data will be just for this particular folder. The same works with the real-time dashboards. So they are working with the folder focusing in the tree. So that's about it. One small thing I wanted to talk with you guys is the fact that I know probably you guys are going to be looking for the actions here. So this is something that we're working on delivering for the next version. We actually started Solve beta testing, and we are working on the next version to include the actions as well for the real-time troubleshooting. And the really cool thing with Solve is that, as I mentioned, it's a SaaS application. So the newest feature is going to be available soon, and usually most of them will not require any action from your side. Some of them will require an upgrade of the monitor, but this is the only component required for Solve. The login method available for Solve is going to be SAML authentication, which you can configure for your organization, or you can use the Active Directory authentication. So we no more need of the ControlUp user, of course. On version 82, we're going to introduce the passwordless login, and then Solve can be used through the connection to the Active Directory through the monitors in the organization. Okay, then. Do you have any questions so far?
So, Shay. So this is Arnaud.
Yeah.
So I have multiple questions. So I have two questions regarding Solve. So the first one is, will it be including with the existing licensing, or will it be an add-on that customer will need to pay for?
So currently for the first version, Solve will require an additional license. So we're getting the guys need to reach out to our sales guys in ControlUp, and they get the exact details about this one. But the answer is yes for the licensing.
Okay, and the second is, can it drill down on process and version to make a comparison?
You mean drilling down at the same time?
Yeah, I think so.
We can drill down to each session, of course. I can show you guys an example here. I'm drilling down to a session, and I can see the processes within this session. And this is then a specific session from the end user computing infrastructure. So we have any more data here displayed. Does this answer the questions?
I think so. I mean, I will let Fred who asked the question clarify if he has another. I mean, if you need more details. I have another one. Can you please demo the login time drill down if info available in Solve?
The login duration drill down. This one. So I drilled to a particular session through the login duration, and here I see a nice breakdown from the. Actually, it's coming from the Zen desktop infrastructure with the different components. Is that what you guys were looking for?
I think so. So the login duration, yeah.
Okay, so we had the metric here, and I drilled down through these metrics. So this is the same login duration we have in the console. It's even the same tooltip. If you guys see for a few seconds, we keep querying the monitor, and the data here will change and indicate if something is wrong or if the login duration is okay.
Okay, and after I have other question, but more related to Citrix Cloud 8.2.
Sure.
Okay.
So I don't know if I ask it to you or Trentent.
Yeah, we both here.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first one, do you have a GA date for 8.2?
So I will answer this one. 8.2 GA is going to be out by the end of October.
End of October?
Yeah.
Okay. The other one, for Citrix Cloud monitoring, how about SaaS apps, Citrix Cloud Gateway connectors?
Sure, Shay, if you want to pass me.
Yeah.
I just might need Stephanie to pass me presenter view.
Okay. Stephanie?
Yeah, she's got it.
You are presenter, Trentent.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So Citrix Cloud Gateway, we support monitoring the cloud connectors and the delivery groups. We also can monitor, Citrix ADC appliances, and within there we can monitor the different load balancers or other types of resources there. So if you are actually monitoring the health of those objects, we can do that. For the actual cloud connector service, we do not do that at this point in time, so we only support the on-premises product. But if you are using the on-premises product with Citrix Cloud, we do have that capability of monitoring the state of those SaaS applications.
Okay, and another one for Citrix Cloud. Don't suppose there is a scripted action for releasing Citrix Cloud licenses anywhere?
So that's a great comment, and that's something we can take back to our script actions team, and we can see if they just can't code that up. So that way it's just a right-click available action to pull that information for sure. That's great feedback. Thank you.
Okay, after I have question regarding Scoutbees. So the first one, is it free for the current customers?
For what kind of customers?
For the customers who have license of ControlUp, will Scoutbees will be free?
So Scoutbees is a separate product. It's developed by Control, but it is a separate product, so there is separate licensing. I believe that Scoutbees does have a free tier, so you can get started for free. And I believe the change between the free tier and the paid tiers is the interval that you can do and how many scouts you can have. So I think with the free tier, it's just one, and I think it's once every hour or every couple hours or something like that.
Okay, I have a question which has been asked by multiple people. How would you set up MFA if it's needed?
Sure. So if I go through the Scout creation again, let's choose Citrix Cloud. This guy. So here's what we offer. So this is the MFA. Single step two-factor authentication. If I click on more here, we'll actually go through the different types that we can do. So I think we just added support for Azure MFA. Let me see if I think he's got that under the notification here. Yeah, not quite, but yeah, I think we offer support now for the different types of MFA, including like Google Authenticator, the Microsoft Authenticator app, and for Azure MFA as well.
Okay, I have other questions.
Sure.
So, can Scoutbees test logon and launch several apps? Example, Word, i.e. on multiple systems, all running from local systems, not via cloud.
So I'm going to try to interpret this. So I believe you're asking if it can test resources on premises. And the answer is yes. You can create multiple different scouts to test your various resources. So this one could be Word, this one could be Excel, this one could be PowerPoint. Sorry, was I a bit off there for the question? But yeah, so if you're testing those ones, you can test it with a custom Hive on premises, so it doesn't need to be through a cloud resource. And then you can adjust the interval and so on and so forth for how often you want that to actually execute.
Okay. Other question: can it use internal storefront URL?
Yes. Yes. So if you create a custom Hive, let me just continue here. So if I choose a custom Hive here, like we got our London Hive, you can actually choose the storefront internal one. So that way you're just testing your storefront resources. So if you're in like a hospital environment or a financial environment where you don't have that external access, for sure we can authenticate and enumerate all of your resources in your storefront, in your on-premises storefront.
Okay, thank you. Another one, can you use the Solve web-based console with the original ControlUp.exe console at the same time, or does it have to be one or the other?
So the Solve product is, it coexists with the console. So the Solve product today, as Shay had mentioned, is a read-only view of the data that we're pulling from ControlUp. As we evolve the product, it will get things like our script actions or our native actions integrated into it. But as it's evolving, you will require both the console to do the configuration and then, as of today, Solve to actually be monitoring your environment. So one of the nice features of Solve is you can have multiple tabs open, or if you're running like a help desk or a NOC environment, you can actually have it configured the way that you want. But yes, the console and Solve will coexist.
Okay. Next one, what is the process to add Solve to an existing environment?
Okay, so I'll answer that one. The only prerequisite required for Solve is the monitor to be installed and connected to the data sources. So as we see here, the monitoring status here on the left side of the console, it means that Solve probably is going to be working, and all the data sources we see on this tab connected are going to be available on Solve. Solve can be started with a try through the Solve tab here. Trent, can you show the guys Solve tab? No, close the monitor settings.
Sorry, yeah, be right there.
Here. And here we can configure the permissions of Solve. The monitor is, as I mentioned before, that need to be configured, and the Solve click is going to take us straight to Solve. This click going to help us and start the trial when needed. And Solve have a couple of security policy needed to configure before, and that's it. You're good to go.
Thank you. Next one, is there any roadmap for GCP support like there is for AWS?
Sure. So you're talking about the cloud connections, and that was for GCP, so the Google cloud platform, I believe. I'm not aware of any roadmap for it. Shay, are you?
For which cloud connection?
I think it's for Google Cloud.
So there's no special plan for this one at the moment, but we are working for the Azure integration in these days.
But if you do have resources on Google Cloud, like Windows desktops, and if you're hosting your environment on there, ControlUp can still monitor your Windows objects in your Windows environment there. And if you're hosting Citrix on there, then we can connect and monitor that whole environment, no problem.
Okay, next one. Do you have plan for adding Okta?
Okta, is this for Scoutbees?
No, for MFA.
Yeah, MFA for Scoutbees. I would.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I think for Scoutbees. The question didn't determine, but I think it's for Scoutbees. Yeah.
Yeah, I would need to check with our developer, but I think Okta is one of the ones that are supported. I guess don't quote me on that. If you can reach out to our either support or sales at controlup.com, we can get that answered for you.
Okay. I have one. I mean, I will ask you, but I think you will not be able to reply this one, to answer this one. If you can provide any information on pricing for existing ControlUp customers for those products.
For Scoutbees? So it's actually available on the website. We can actually just click on the pricing tier. Obviously, just contact sales will give you that. We'll give you that information. Okay.
So we saw that we can have a trial for Scoutbees. What about Solve? Do you have a trial, or will you propose a trial as well for Solve?
So yes, Solve will be available for a trial period, which starts when you click the Solve button on the console we showed before. And yeah, so we will be available for trial for every existing or new customers.
Okay, next one. Is support for AWS Workspaces on the roadmap?
So we do support AWS today and AWS Workspaces. Again, if they're being Windows devices that if you're connecting into, we can monitor them today by having ControlUp in the same network space and having the agent installed. And then you'll be able to monitor those Windows devices. If you're talking about the EUC environment where you can actually manage AWS Workspaces, that would be another future roadmap item. It is not currently in the product today.
Okay, and so the same question about pricing for Solve. I mean, do you have you have also a button to connect with sales to find answer for the price?
Yeah, this is not something we have at the moment for sharing. So once the product come out for GA, you need to contact our sales, and they will share all the information, and we are probably going to upload it to the website as well.
Okay. So let me check. I think we answered a lot of questions. I mean, by the way, if all the question has not been answered, we'll check that and provide answer on the My CUGC website. So
Great.
I don't know if there is any other question.
Great. Well, thank you. I think this is the first time I've actually been able to answer all the questions without going over. So that's great.
Yeah, to be honest with you, there are some few more questions, but I just type in the order in the order at the beginning. But I mean, you will see all the questions, Trentent, and I can send you every question I ask you and the answer, and we can maybe make a post on my CUGC to be sure that all the answers would be answered.
Sure. You got it.
Yeah, I can absolutely send you all of the questions that came in once they're all done. Is there anything else you guys want to cover, or are we ready to wrap up?
Yeah, I think just the last little pitch we have is, ControlUp is available off of www.controlup.com. So if you're not using our product, you can just go, you click the download button. I think you just put in your email address and then the executable just gets downloaded. It's a portable app. So we make things simple. Once you get it, just double click it, you add your environment, and you can start up and running with ControlUp within 5 minutes.
Okay, last one, Trentent. Question from David. You might have missed. Do you have the GA for Solve?
So yeah, I'll take this one. Sorry. So GA will be available by the end of the year.
End of the year.
Yeah.
End of the year. Okay, so end of October for 8.2 and end of the year for Solve.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right, I am just going to drop a link in the chat window really quickly to that survey that I mentioned earlier. Just 1 second, I had to get that for you, and then I am just going to grab the screen back. I just have one little closing slide. If you opted in to possibly win a pair of Apple AirPods Pro, we are going to choose the winner offline. Actually, it looks like I don't think you can see my slide. Can you see that? Looks like a white screen.
It is
White
white.
screen.
What a day for here we go. Now, can you see a screen?
Yep.
Okay. All right, there it is. Apple AirPods. If you opted in, we're going to choose the winner at random offline. I want to get the full attendance report and do I use the Google randomizer to pick a number, and we will let you know. And we'll also announce the winner on Twitter. So be sure to follow us at myCUGC on Twitter. That's also the best place to just get all the most up-to-date information if things are going on, things change. It's just a good place to follow us. Also, just remind you to visit us at mycugc.org. I mentioned the webinar recordings earlier, but also on the website, we have lots of blog posts, lots of helpful information for you. We have discussion forums. If you have a question, definitely come and ask it there. We can also help you find people in your local group, get you connected. So there's lots of resources for you on mycugc.org. So we love to see you out there. And with that, I think I'm going to let you all get back to your day. Shay, Trentent, thank you so much for presenting today. And Arnaud, thank you so much for keeping an eye on all those questions for us. There was a lot of questions.
You're welcome.
Great,
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Everybody stay safe and healthy and well, and we'll see you on another CUGC event hopefully soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye bye.